Get sex, get sex, get sexy sex, want sex. Get sex, get sex, get sexy sex, want sex. Are you sick? You need your ex. You need sexy sex, want sex. Get sex, get sex, get sexy sex, want sex.
It's 66.6 The Horror, the podcast where we fuck me. Where we fuck me.
I'd fuck me. I'd fuck you.
No. You know what we're talking about? We're talking about 66.6 The Horror, the podcast where we address, obsess, digress, redress. And it's funny, we talk about Native Americans.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of Native American references in The Shining. 66.6 The Horror. Welcome to the podcast where we dress in women's clothing, we obsess about women's clothing, and we digress wearing women's clothing.
I'd fuck me.
Yeah. And I'll flick my nipple ring, too.
You know why?
Well, I'll tell you why, because it's 66.6 The Horror. Welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, where we all sit in front of this fucking microphone and we stress, we obsess over everything there is horror. Today, I am so happy to be under the same roof as my co-host, partners in crime, Evil fucking Eddie and Hell's motherfucking Hooligan.
What up, dude?
Holy shit balls!
What's up, Doc?
Wow! It's been too long since we were all like in a room, fucking talking horror, like all of it. It's been 2 months?
That's almost 3 months, dude.
4 months.
Has it really? Dude, it was right before fucking St. Patty's Day.
This is the first time we've ever done this, don't lie.
This is our first episode. Yeah.
No, we've always been here.
In a way, we have. We've always been trapped in this room in a vicious cycle.
Dude, I told you we shouldn't take those shrooms.
This episode is gonna be real weird.
It's gonna get real weird up in here.
No, you know what? We're here today with a little bit of fucking blind faith and coincidence and luck to bring you what I am super excited about. Probably going to be one of our best episodes yet to date. I think we're just gonna fucking keep getting better and better with this shit because, as it is, we weren't even supposed to be talking about what we're talking about today. But as fate allowed it, Evil Eddie said, hey, I'm going to watch this fucking movie. Then just like the corona, it spread over to fucking Hell's Hooligan and jumped over to me. And we said, we got to talk about this now or never.
And I'm fucking thankful that we are because these movies rule, dude.
So yesterday, today we're filming this, yesterday was the 40th fucking anniversary of The Shining being released in theaters, unbeknownst to any of it.
What's the date, the 24th?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so we're filming on the 24th.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the 23rd, was the 40th
40th anniversary, which
ironic.
That was a complete coincidence. We
Yeah.
didn't know that, which just makes it even cooler that we're doing this today.
Yeah.
And much like some things I'll talk about in the movie, there's these weird parallels that life presents to you sometimes. And anyway, so that's that. So speaking of current news, what's going on in the world of horror?
Cue the music.
That sounded just like it.
All right, so some news time. So I just heard from you guys that Scream 5's coming out. Early predictions on that.
It's gonna suck ass, dude.
Oh, man.
No, I think it'll be good. I did see that, who plays Dewey? Oh my gosh.
David Arquette?
David Arquette is signed on to come back as Officer Doofy.
Officer Doofus.
And that's all I know so far.
Oh, okay, cool.
Did you guys like Scream 4?
I loved it.
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. It's great. He hated it. I
Yeah,
liked it.
I really only liked the first Scream.
I thought part 2 was good.
I liked 2. 3 was a little far-fetched.
I didn't like 3.
I haven't seen a lot of these movies in a long time, only because like the first one was like it sort of was this little renaissance of the slasher
I
movie,
think
right?
4 was really Korean, but hey, that's for another episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Early predictions on it?
gonna give it a
I'll
thumbs
watch
up.
it.
Yeah, I'll give it a little look-see gander.
yeah.
I'm gonna give it a thumbs up because,
Things
4
got
out of-
potential.
4 out of 5 ain't bad.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, yeah, it's makes you feel old, right? Because I remember when the first Scream came out. Here we are now, and it's the 5th installment, and I'm in my late 30s. So here we go. And that first one came out when I was a teenager.
96 came out.
So
Yeah, that was a great movie when it came out.
yeah, I loved it. And maybe I do like I just haven't seen. I haven't seen those movies in so long.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
They're
For me. I
good.
need to revisit them.
But yeah,
I didn't like
I'm
the-
stoked about it.
Yeah.
I am excited. To see
I didn't like the TV show.
the TV show.
I tried.
Not good.
I didn't even know. Neither did he.
Yeah.
I
Dogs,
honestly
they
didn't even
love
know there was a
Scream,
TV show. Was there a TV show? There
It
was
was
a
on
TV show.
MTV.
You can watch it on Netflix.
I'll be damned. Okay.
But,
okay.
The ghost face is
No,
totally different.
yeah.
It's not great.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Becky, have you guys heard of that?
Not until you told me about it, but it's the fact that it's Kevin James is
Kevin
the
James
killer.
is the killer. It's a home invasion movie.
And it's got Joel
Yeah.
McHale.
Joel
Yeah.
McHale.
And he there's apparently like a torture scene where Kevin James tortures Joel McHale. So I'm like, it sounds intriguing. Like I can't imagine
No.
Kevin James being a bad
Is
guy.
this the first you've heard of it,
This
Len?
is news for me.
I gotcha. So yeah, I talked to you about it briefly. Did you watch the trailer at all?
No, I just saw like thumbnails of it, and I saw like a super quick little snippet thing that like was titled "Kevin James tortures Joel McHale."
Okay,
So I was like,
gotcha.
okay, I know that's in there.
I actually watched the trailer, and I gotta say, it kind of looks like if you guys haven't seen Revenge, that's on Shudder.
Okay.
kind of a I spit on your grave.
Yeah,
Last house on the left.
that's how I feel like it's gonna be.
Okay.
So I'm a little underwhelmed by that, but when I saw
Yeah.
the picture, I thought, oh, Kevin James looks pretty terrifying. As, film.
It's interesting when you take someone out of their element and put them in a role like that. It either is genius and it works, or it's just like they tried. and
Right.
They just
Yeah.
missed the mark,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But hey,
I'm interested to see
I'm
it,
totally intrigued.
but I'm gonna give it an early thumbs down.
I'm gonna give it a thumbs down as well as a prediction. Well,
yeah, I'm just saying I'm not going to watch it right off the bat.
You'll probably hear it from
basically,
us.
fuck that movie. That's what I'm saying.
No, yeah, exactly. I'll wait until one of you guys gets real excited about it, and then I'll watch it and be like, "What fucking took me so long?"
Right.
And I'll blame you for not
Yeah.
watching it sooner, and then
Yeah.
we'll be talking about it.
We'll do an episode devoted to
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that would be perfect.
Cool.
So you're changing it to a thumbs up?
Okay.
What's up? What else is going on in the news?
Halloween trailer is about to drop.
Okay, so
yeah.
I mean, you said something a second ago that's really interesting, and I very rarely have the willpower to be able to do this. Now I have, but you were saying what? Tell us, Hooligan, what you were planning on doing or not doing.
I plan on not watching the trailer simply because
Right.
I don't want any type of spoilers before I go see
Now,
it.
did you do this with Halloween 2018?
Oh fuck no.
No, we watched the
watched it
shit out
together.
of it. Yeah, like over and over again, and we were really excited about it. And I mean, it's cool to watch trailers, but like we just talked about Dr. Sleep. We watched the trailer for that, underwhelmed. Ended up watching the movie way later, and the movie was amazing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't know. Trailers these days, I feel like they give way too much away.
Way too
Yeah,
much. And
especially last year's 2018 trailer, which showed several fucking scenes that would have been great
not to have seen.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna try and avoid watching the trailer myself. I do know that David Gordon Green did an interview not too long ago, like maybe last week. I saw an article on it that he said that one of the scenes he filmed was the most violent scenes he's ever filmed.
Wow.
And so it's gonna be like disturbingly violent.
More violent than all the real girls? And George Washington?
What?
Well, I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Have you lost your fucking mind?
Yeah, right before we started recording, Eddie snapped at me like a angry parent in the shopping mall. The kid's asking to get candy too often. I've never seen that side of him.
He fucking scolded you, dude.
He sure as hell did. You know what?
I don't show that side much.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of scared of you now, dude.
Alright, so no one's watching the trailer?
I'm gonna. Yeah, I mean, look, if you guys aren't, then I'm not. Because
Okay, cool.
We'll just all. I think that'll be a nice little thing we can all do together.
We
Yeah,
can
right.
we
We'll
can
be-
go.
We could all
going
we could all do anything else.
bareback on that.
Going bareback.
Yeah.
We'll walk in together, peen in hand. and just skip to my Lou, my darling. You know?
Exactly. 'cause
Fucking
that's-
do it.
And that's really the best way to keep your social distance is with peen in hand. Because with that sucker out, you know you're going to be
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, COVID doesn't exist in peens. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
a peen. That's peen or COVID-free peen right there, dude.
Oh man.
Peen 19.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll be great. I think we'll challenge ourselves to like not spoil and just go in there completely blind. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave Halloween 2018 a thumbs down on our podcast, but I feel like this one's going to be a thumbs up. So
I do too. I don't know why. I just have a really good feeling about it. I think that they
Yeah.
probably understand what mistakes they may have made. You know, because you don't know until it really is a wide release and you get those reactions. And you know, maybe they don't give a fuck about what happened. They made the movie they wanted to make. But
Yeah.
I have a feeling this one they're gonna take it up a notch, and it's just gonna be balls to the motherfucking wall, dude.
You know, it's gotta be kind of tough. I mean, there's obviously pressure on to deliver a film that can bring a new audience into Halloween, but also appease the fans. And you know, so I mean, that's you know, sometimes maybe you get inside your own heads and they play it too safe, right? Or they weren't quite. Haven't really come to their own yet within the franchise. So yeah, I think it's got tons of potential. So I think we're gonna really grow from what they did in the past.
I think it's gonna be really cool.
gotcha. Thumbs up all around, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, the sit down.
It's the stand.
Oh, the stand. Thoughts?
That was really awkward.
That was really awkward. Yeah, that was really awkward.
well, fuck you.
You lost your fucking mind.
You guys have ruined my life.
I mean, sure. I mean, it seems like
Look.
everything we fucking talked about is just another reboot or remake. So
yeah.
just throw another one in there.
Throw another one in.
Oh,
this
that
is
is true.
Stephen King, The Stand. I think it's cool that Alexander Skarsgård will be playing Randall Flagg. I like him a lot as an actor. I think I don't know, so I'm excited
Yeah,
about it.
sure.
Everything I've read about it is that it's actually going to be very scary. So, and man, after doing more research, and we're gonna talk about this briefly later, but doing more research on Stephen King because we're covering The Shining and Doctor
Stephen
Sleep.
Peen.
Stephen Peen. God, I love that Peen dude. The Peen scene is just good if you know what I mean. And but Stephen King, man. I am so intrigued to find out more about his novels and read more. And oh man, there's just so much. So The Stand, I'm actually really stoked about watching the series. I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't knock anything that's a reboot. Hell, if it's good, then keep remaking the same shit over and over again. I mean, who am I to say? But it is one of those kind of things. It's like when you look up, you don't even realize like, shit. I mean, Scream, Halloween, Stand, it's all shit we've seen before. But if it's worth it, then you know another fucking Friday the 13th on Steelbook. Okay, great. I mean, if it's worth my time, then fantastic. But it's you do hope for something original every once in a while.
Not to change gears too much, but I think we already talked about this before. But wouldn't you guys agree that the most original new slasher type horror movie is Terrifier? That's the one that really comes to mind when I think of a newer, original horror movie.
The build-up or the format is not original, but it's a new character.
face.
It's a new Freddy, Jason, now
Yeah.
Aunt.
Yeah, I think you definitely onto something.
There's a new face.
The new face,
a killer.
something different.
Okay,
Yeah,
and maybe this is a whole episode. Like,
sure it is.
Of and you know, I mean, itself. But okay, what would you guys want to see? Like something original. What is it? What is it? I don't know.
I want to see Captain Kirk on a killing spree.
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of with you, but like maybe not as tan and as dapper as
Maybe a pale.
And like maybe like if he would like shave those sideburns off
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
take his eyebrows off. I don't know.
No, keep
like
the
those.
eyebrows on, but like I think maybe even have the actor put in some shoulder pads to look more menacing.
Yeah.
Kind of always look like he's surprised that he's actually killing people.
Yeah.
Basically, if you could do something to like, have
I just feel like I know what you're saying, but like I feel like if you were to do that, like it wouldn't be okay. I wouldn't get that feel and vibe like a first or second time. Maybe like maybe a third or maybe even a fourth time.
I'd say-
Probably the fourth time around is when they really get that thing down.
yeah.
And
It's like the third time, it's just like, where the fuck are you even going with this?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with
Captain Kirk's not even here. Get him out of there. We'll come back. Yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah.
You guys are onto something. I think.
I don't know, man. I you know what? It's I rack my brain of that sometimes, like, you know, original stuff. I mean, I do think that what's his name? Keenan and Peele.
Key and Peele. You're talking about like Us and Get Out. And
I mean, there's some original
for sure, man.
things going on there, some original sort of concepts and themes. But then, again, you do kind of feel like, yeah, I've seen that movie in a way. But I mean, I don't know. The window, though small, to create something new, it is there. It's just, I mean, I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is
filmmaker.
either. I am very excited about Jordan Peele's involvement in the new Candyman movie. I think it's going to be really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I hope it's cool. I love Candyman. And we're going to cover Candyman soon in a Clive Barker episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I'm excied about that.
That's going to be super cool.
Yeah, so, you know what? I didn't... It's been so long since I've seen the original Stand that I'm not 100% sure how to compare it, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
different
watch
for
the
us.
original Stand until after the new one's released.
So you're going to watch the new one and then go back and watch
Yeah,
the old
Yeah,
I'll
I
go
think
back
that's a
and
great
watch
one. I
idea.
like that. I like
Yeah.
that.
That way I have nothing compared
How
to.
long was the original Stand? Do you remember? Was it like a mini series or was it like a two-parter? I don't remember.
Oh, no, I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 parts.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs down on the Stand?
I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I'm going to, prediction-wise, thumbs up.
Thumbs up on the Stand? Yeah, me too.
Think so?
Thumbs up. Why not?
Cool. Why not?
One
Well,
last
hey,
thing.
I know we've talked a lot about, just some regurgitations and nothing original is coming out, but hey, I'm gonna change it up a bit. I'm gonna throw a fastball at you. Hellraiser TV series.
Wow, I'm fucking shocked.
and here we are again. I mean, if you make it good and it's the same thing you've done before, it's bringing back old characters. Like, I'm cool with it. I think we said this during Halloween, right? Maybe because we just love the franchise so much, but you get excited and you knew Halloween's good Halloween, even if it's not good Halloween. Because
Yeah.
it's new Halloween, right?
Yeah.
And you get excited. There's something to talk about. And then you reserve judgment to when you see it, and you're like, yeah, well, they should have never fucking made this, So, I get, yeah.
It might be cool. I wish that they would reboot it as a movie. I think that there's a lot of really cool things that they could do with it now because, I mean, Hellraiser looked great for when it came out, but, I mean, there's so much more technology they could use and make it just fucked up. I mean, Hellraiser's scary, dude. The S&M theme that's going on in that alone is creepy.
Well, and it's what I've always thought was so creepy about Hellraiser is that it's all self-inflicted, right? You're choosing that path. Like, Pinhead didn't come after you unless you've opened Pandora's box in a sense. So like it's really your own demise, and the temptation is, and that to go down that path is so great that it could be anyone that gets caught up in that. But yeah, the practical effects and the effects that in those movies are just phenomenal.
Yeah, they really are.
For the time, and even now. I mean, I went back and watched all 3 of those just recently. There's more than 3, but the first 3, in my opinion, are really the only
They're
ones.
really good ones, yeah. I would be so fucking disappointed if they were to do a reboot movie and not use Douglas Bradley.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he is. I mean, he's Pinhead. I mean, he's the essence of it. But I don't know. That's a whole nother discussion. But I'm excited about it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, TV seems to be the way that people are going these days. They see that it's. I don't know. I mean, if you think about like a big TV series that you guys have got into, that's I don't know if you guys watch Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad. These big. So it's like, how do you condense that into 2 hours, right? I think some of these stories have to be fleshed out. Does Hellraiser have to be fleshed out into a 10-part hour long each episodes? I don't know.
Well, I will say this: Hellraiser is supposed to be on HBO, I believe.
I think it's the HBO Plus.
The HBO Max. Yeah. So
is,
if it's on there, I imagine it's going to be kick-ass. So if it's a 10-part series, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm for it. As long as it looks cinematic. That's all I ask for is that it be essentially a movie that's 10 hours long.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, like I kind of was saying earlier, I think that those lines are definitely blurred these days. Like, you have a harder time telling apart, because I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, it just, it used to be, like, TV shows look like TV shows,
Right.
You could, no matter how and it's the cameras they use or the technique or whatever it is, but it looked like fucking
It was
TV
just
shows.
the budget probably wasn't there.
Budget, yeah.
So, well, cool. That's the news.
Yeah, thumbs up or thumbs down on that, right quick.
I'll give a thumbs up.
Yeah, I mean, early. I mean, if I give a thumbs up based on what I want, I guess it's always going to be thumbs up, right? Because I want it to be good.
Right,
but
we're hoping it's good.
It's hoping to be good, so it's hard.
But realistically,
Realistically,
you think it's gonna be a
yeah. I
thumbs
mean,
up?
realistically, I mean, how many Hellraiser movies did they make?
There's like
7,
11.
And only 3 of those to me are worth a damn. So it's like track record ain't great.
Yeah, there's a lot
You know
of
what I
them,
mean?
dude.
Yeah.
I think there's like 10 or 11.
Yeah, there's a lot. So
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a thumbs down. I think that Hellraiser 1 was amazing. The other 2 are fun. And then after that, it was just trash.
yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Hellraiser
I
one's
think
amazing. The other 2
could've
are a lot of fun.
They could have never made another sequel, and that would
Absolutely.
still hail
Yeah.
as an amazing one.
Yeah,
So
that's a really The other 2 are fun, but yeah.
cool. Let's get out of here and let's go to the main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing your hosts for 66.6 The Horror, it's Lynn Leatherface. With Hell's Hooligan. And Evil Eddie.
Well, it's time for us to break out of our own quarantine to talk about a movie that really has a lot to do with isolation. So in a way, it kind of, whether it's isolated in your own head, whether it's isolated in a fucking hotel that absorbs your energy in an evil, corrupt way, however you want to break it down, I think it's fitting that we talk about a movie that has to do so much with isolation.
Absolutely. And ever since this fucking quarantine thing has been happening, we've been hanging out at this hotel. You
Yeah.
know, this is a really nice hotel. We're
It
at the
is.
Overlook Hotel here in snowy
gorgeous.
Colorado.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. I
Yeah.
love the carpet here, dude.
It's that hexagonal sort of pattern that
orange.
Very shaggy.
Very shaggy.
shaggy, yeah, and it's there's a lot of bright red walls, you know, in certain parts of the hotel, but I like it.
I feel cozy here, man. I don't know. We're the only ones here, other than a
It
couple
is
of the staff
cozy.
members.
And if you're gonna lock yourself down in quarantine, what better place to do it?
Yeah, but hey, you know, guys, I've kind of been bored. Would you guys maybe want to watch a movie?
We should. Now, I will say that we'd have to sort of go find maybe the gift shop or someplace, maybe the front desk, maybe go dig around and see if there's someone that could help us out with that.
Eddie? Did you see the gift shop? Do you know where it's at? It's down in the lobby area.
The layout of this hotel is
yeah,
confusing to me. I feel like I turn
I
a
know.
corner and I'm somewhere completely new that I've never seen before.
Yeah, it's a room with the window.
That one window?
That one window.
That window that's like
Like
really
right in the
shouldn't-
middle of the...
shouldn't be there.
Yeah, like right in the middle of this hotel, there's
I
this
don't
room.
understand how there's a window there. It
Seems
seems like an impossible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anyways, well, hey, you know what? Let's go down there. Let's see if we can find one of the staff members. See if they might be able to help us find a video that
Yeah.
we can watch up in our room.
I'm down for it. We got
So,
plenty of time.
Anyways, let's go down there. Let's check it out. Okay, we're in the gift shop now, and
They need to put some WD-40 on that door.
they really do. I don't understand.
But I think that maybe our job is you know, being that we're staying here during off-season hours, we're probably responsible for doing that kind of shit.
Probably. Well,
I
we'll
just
look
got here. I don't know what you guys
No.
talked about.
Anyways, well, God, I wish we could find somebody in here, but Lloyd, is that?
Wait, that
Where'd
guy
you just
was
come from?
not there a second ago. I mean, literally, he just appeared.
Yeah, dude, that's Lloyd, the bartender.
How do we know his name?
He told me.
Sometimes you just want to go where you know everybody's name.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. Cheers to that.
yeah.
So, yeah, dude, let's go talk to Lloyd and see what's up. Right? You guys cool with that?
I'd love to
Yeah.
go see what Lloyd has to say. I've been dying to talk to this guy.
Dying, huh? Good evening, gentlemen.
Oh, hello, Lloyd, is it? From what I understand?
Yes, it is Lloyd.
Lloyd, what a good man.
Were you the bartender?
I do many tasks around the Overlook Hotel. How is the stay treating you so far?
So far, so
That's nice.
Okay.
What can I do for you?
well. I tell you,
We're
we
bored.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. We were getting a little bored, so we thought we would sort of occupy our time by checking out a film. If you have something, you'd recommend something we could watch.
Yeah. A little bit on the bright side.
Yeah, we're nothing too dark.
Absolutely. I might recommend something to you that you may have never seen.
Oof. I'm intrigued.
Okay. And just to let you all know that your credit is good here. Your money is worthless to me.
Lloyd. Good man. Always been a good man.
Absolutely. Courtesy of the house.
Oh, man.
May I recommend the 19...
So do you bill it to us?
Would you please not interrupt me?
I don't want to get bogged down by the details here.
I'm just
When I'm speaking,
wondering.
I'd prefer
I'm
that I just...
wondering how we're supposed to pay for
You're
this.
still
It sounds
talking.
too good to be true.
You're talking over me again, and it's pissing Lloyd off.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. If I may.
Shoot.
Lloyd's talking now. Let him talk.
Go on.
He's talking now.
Okay.
I'm trying to listen to what he's having to say.
Yeah, me too.
Lloyd's getting upset.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Go on.
May I recommend the 1980 film by Stanley Kubrick entitled The Shining, based on the Stephen King novel?
Of the same name?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That is absolutely
Any
true.
relation to Kubrick?
I'm not sure.
Is that the guy that made that cube with a bunch of colors that you try to solve, the Rubik's Kubrick?
Do you want... Maybe. I don't...
Okay.
God, do you... Does that sound like a movie that you might want to watch? Fuck.
I mean, we said we wanted something that was, light.
Gentlemen.
And shining kind of seems
Yeah.
like it's bright and shiny. And
I'd say so.
Sure.
Helsugan, what do you think?
Dude, I don't give a fuck, man. As long as we can take those shrooms again, I'm cool.
You're just obsessed
Well
with
said.
these mushrooms. But yes, that carpet's going to look really cool here in a minute.
Yeah.
Cool, dude. Whatever. Fuck it, right?
Yeah, fuck it.
Cool. Okay, well, if you would like to rent the movie, that is fine. Take it back to your room. Just make sure you bring it back rewound.
God damn it. Again with the
Do you happen to
rewinding.
know someone named Martha?
God damn it. Does Martha's word just travel throughout the whole goddamn country?
Martha is my ex-wife.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Great woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes hell of a tortilla soup.
Yep.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she? Oh, God. She was great. She was great. Anyways,
How am I supposed to rewind a laser disc, though?
well, that's for you to figure out. And, I told you that it's on the house, so,
Okay.
it's free, so maybe not bitch about it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just bring it back and let me. When you bring it back, let me know what you think. Lloyd wants to know.
Will
Now-
do.
Great. Now you three get the fuck out of my gift shop and watch the video, huh?
But I'm
Oh, can we read the back of the box before we...
That's fine. You can do whatever
just
you
to make
want.
sure.
Just to make sure.
Can you tell that one there, the third one there in the back that's staring at the wall to maybe lay off the shrooms?
That's Hooligan, and I think his life is just one big constant trip.
Right. May I suggest that he not watch the shrooms while watching this movie? It may induce fear.
Or it may enlighten to some other things that are going on.
Right.
You just
Go ahead and get the fuck out of my shop.
Wait, hey, we're gonna read the back of the box before.
But let us do this, and then
That's-
we'll let you get back to
that's
just
great.
standing, because that's all you were doing.
That's great.
We'll all collectively decide if we want to watch this.
Right,
film.
right. I'm going to go back to my bar and I'm going to serve my friend Jack.
Okay, cool.
Oh, okay, well, have fun with that.
right ahead.
And if we decide
Absolutely.
not to take this movie, we'll do you a favor and not let you know.
Okay. All right. We'll see you. We'll see you later when you finish the film.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we should see what this movie has to offer.
Yeah,
Yes.
tell us.
Think of the greatest terror imaginable. A monstrous alien? A lethal epidemic? Or, as in this harrowing masterpiece from director Stanley Kubrick, is it fear of murder by someone who should love and protect you? A member of your own family? From a script he co-adapted from the Stephen King novel, Kubrick melds vivid performances, menacing settings, dreamlike tracking shots, and shock after shock into a milestone of the macabre. In a signature role, Jack Nicholson, who plays Jack Torrance, who's come to the elegant, isolated Overlook Hotel as off-season caretaker with his wife and son. Torrance has never been there before. Or has he? The answer lies in a ghostly time warp of madness and murder.
Damn.
Right. Would you mind rereading that with a little bit more excitement?
I sure can.
Think of the greatest terror imaginable.
That was actually a joke, Eddie. Lloyd is not Not
Lloyd, would you mind like leaving us the fuck alone for a little bit?
We'll bring you back to Precious fucking movie.
Yeah.
guys, can I ask, why does Lloyd keep referring to himself in third person?
Lloyd likes to do that. Lloyd feels like that's the best way he can connect with
He's
people.
kind of third dimension too.
Damn, I thought I was just tripping, but I'm glad.
Oh, no,
to know.
you were.
No, you were.
You were.
And he noticed.
Yeah. Did you see those like fucking plants come to life?
Did you see that too?
No.
No, only you did.
Hey man, like, can we please just go back to the room and watch whatever the fuck you guys rented? Like, I don't even remember what he talked about, dude. Like, can we just go watch it?
You didn't hear him talk about the whole back of the box just then?
No, man, I was actually just counting like the number of holes, like in the wall, man.
Well, cool.
Yeah,
Well, what do you guys say? Thumbs up, thumbs down on this one.
we gotta head back to our room. 237, man.
I just read the back of the box, you know.
Yeah,
And,
I mean-
I'm not leaving until we know for sure that we're giving this a thumbs up or thumbs down, and majority rules.
Well, I say thumbs up for me.
yeah.
All right, fuck it. Thumbs up here, man. Let's
Yeah,
go.
me too. Okay, so it's unanimous. Let's take this. Thanks, Lloyd. We're out of here.
We appreciate you, Lloyd.
You're welcome, gentlemen. Again, get the fuck out of my gift shop.
Okay, well, we'll see you next time.
Okay, alrighty.
We'll see you in another 3 hours after this one's done. You had to pick the longest fucking movie.
Well, it is long.
It is
It's
long.
about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a long one.
Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel long.
No, man, it's not boring. I don't think it's ever boring.
I used to think it was long, but a really good sleeping movie. No,
I-
ironic that the next film had to do with sleep.
Doctor Sleep. Strange.
But I used to actually call it a very good sleep movie.
Sleeper movie. I mean, and I honestly think when this movie first came out, I think a lot of people did kind of sleep on it. I know the reviews were mixed. I mean, the novel, Stephen King's novel, I've even heard in some interviews some people say that they were anticipating this movie. They knew it was a Stephen King novel. They were really excited about it, so they reread the novel, and they were expecting it to be just like the novel. But as they come to find out, probably early on in the movie, even the main character's name changed.
Yeah.
So it takes the novel, The Shining, as inspiration, but it is a total screen adaptation from Kubrick into a whole new telling of the story.
Which I think is great, to be honest.
Yes.
I mean, it's cool to have different versions of things. If you're a reader, if you enjoy reading, get the novel and have that version of it. Have the movie. There is a mini series that they did. I've never seen it, but I've heard it was good.
Based on the novel.
Yeah, it's
More based around the novel.
Yeah.
it stays pretty true to the book. And that was what, 97. So
Yeah,
good.
and I saw that, but I didn't. I guess I was a little too young to understand
Sure.
the greatness of it. I'd love to rewatch it, but I don't know how to watch it.
I don't know either. I mean, I'm sure there's a way you could find it somewhere. It's archived somewhere. Or...
On eBay, it's like fucking $80 to get this fucking thing.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
I just assume that, and it's nowhere to stream or anything like that. Like sometimes YouTube will like weird shit. You can they'll have it on there. Okay.
Yeah.
There's clips, but there's not the whole
Interesting.
film.
Yeah, that's the last time I saw it when I was a kid, and I watched it. Even because my family, we watched a lot of horror movies together. It seemed like, and The Shining was one I watched when I was pretty young, and definitely stuck with me. So naturally, you wanted to see this take on it. And in '97, I mean, I was 14. By then, I was, definitely sort of forming my own opinion. But nothing about the TV version really stood out to me. I always preferred the film, and I've never read the book.
Well, I think that beyond it not being a super true to the novel, Jack Nicholson's performance is fucking amazing in it. I mean, I don't know, just everything about the movie is really well done. It's a beautifully shot movie. The cinematography was great.
Incredible.
Give a shout out to John Alcott, who is no longer with us, but the cinematography was awesome on that one. The music was insanely good. I mean,
Did Alcott work on 2001?
He did. Yeah, he did the cinematography on Space Odyssey. He did Clockwork Orange, Shining, and then he did one other Kubrick film.
Barry Lyndon.
Dr. Strangelove?
I don't remember, to be honest with you, but
Gotcha.
but he did a lot of good work, and like I was saying, the composer was fantastic on this. Again, no longer with us, but Christoph.
He just recently
Penderecki.
passed away,
He
right?
just like passed away in March, I believe. But he did like the score for The Exorcist and some other really great movies. So, yeah.
I mean, God, where do you even begin to start this movie? Because it really is the total package, just in my opinion. I mean, beautifully shot, beautifully just fucking cast, wonderfully acted. The score fits the movie.
The poster is great.
It's to me, it's like you have your heavy hitters, right? You have your Halloweens, you have your Friday the 13th, this sort of Hall of Fame of horror. But I do think that you take a small percentage of even those really good, well-known movies, and you take a thin layer off the top of that, and you have the upper echelon crust of, like, fucking brilliant films. And I think this is one of them. And I think it goes across the board, even if you're talking about... Because, yes, it's a horror film, but not really in the traditional sense. And I want to say that reading some things, a lot of people were a bit turned off because they were expecting a horror film. That's what it was being marketed as, but they didn't get... And you're talking about 1980 at this point, so there's a lot that had already been out, and they didn't get your normal run-of-the-mill horror movie experiment.
Well, it's more of a psychological horror
Absolutely.
movie, which is not how the novel is. The novel's more on the supernatural side.
Mm-hmm.
This one goes with Jack, which his name is John in the novel.
Mm-hmm.
It goes with Jack kind of descending into madness, like it's all within his mind. But in the novel, John is more influenced to become a madman because of the supernatural factors that are within the Overlook Hotel.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't explain it. And of course, we're going to maybe rent another movie here in a little bit with Lloyd. And hopefully it might be another one that's along the lines of The Shining. I don't know. We'll see. And that crazy Patrick Dempsey. and I like that. And we might... it might give a little more insight as to what actually was going on in The Shining. But, let's just give a little shout out to my boy Jack Nicholson, dude. One of the best fucking actors of all time. And his performance in this movie is so fucking good, dude.
Some would say the singular, I've heard it said many times, the singular best performance in a horror film. I mean, if you break it down, it's hard to argue that, really. It's a dimensional character that you see a true arc, and you start to realize that you really get a sense that something is going on with this guy, because it starts off, beginning of the film, fairly normal family man. And as you peel the layers of the onion off a bit, you realize there's a lot more there to this guy. And there's a lot more about, a film exists from, point A to point C, right? And that's the only window that we see into these people's lives. And for a movie to sort of have an effect on an audience where you start to think about what exists outside of this window of what you're watching, that's when you know it's really effective. And I think Jack Nicholson's portrayal of Jack Torrance is really good in that sense. And I do think that if you read interviews with Shelley Duvall, Jack Nicholson, they will say that of any work that they've done prior or after, that this was some of the hardest that they were pushed. Because Kubrick operated in that way. He did take after take after take, and he really pushed his actors to the absolute limit. And so, it's been very well documented that this was one of the hardest roles that Jack Nicholson had to take, and I can definitely see why.
I can totally see it, man. Just the fucking facial expressions that he portrays when he goes from that kind of laughing, silly madman to the fucking rage, gonna kill you. It's just whoa, dude, the mindset, as an actor, I've never acted before, but to put yourself in that role and to be able to turn it on, man, that's just, he's a super talented dude. I love Jack Nicholson. He's a lot of the movies that he's been in are some of my favorites. Batman '89 when he was Joker. You can't. He's the best Joker in my opinion. I thought Heath Ledger did an amazing job. Joaquin did a great job. Yeah. It's Jack Nicholson for me. Maybe it's a nostalgia factor, but
I've had that conversation a lot of times before, but I'm in the same boat.
No, I 100% agree. Regardless of, and it's all preference, but no, you're absolutely right.
And I think for me, for the longest time, Jack Nicholson was the scariest thing about this. In my early years when I watched it, he was the scariest thing about this movie. But my mind has since changed, and I think that upon viewing this movie multiple times, I've come to figure out that for me, there's so much going on in this film, much like any medium of art that I really, really enjoy. It's to be dissected, and the more you watch it, the more you discover, and it really keeps you thinking. And I never thought that this movie was scary out for like the way that certain horror films are scary. Like, it doesn't like make me feel. It leaves me with a very weird feeling when I finish watching this movie. I feel really I feel just strange. It leaves me with a very eerie feeling, and it's hard to explain exactly. But I just think because there's subliminally so much going on in this film, and I think it takes multiple views to see where it's like initially when you see it, Jack Torrance is fucking scary, axe murder, going crazy, and there's a lot of underlying themes. But the more you watch it, he's kind of like second fiddle to the sort of unsettling theme that this movie sort of portrays.
Yeah,
the feeling it exudes.
Eddie, do you think that the music gives you the unsettling feeling? Is that a part of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the music is incredibly unsettling. And it's funny because I've watched this movie multiple times, and the first time I watched this movie, I watched it kind of straightforward. I don't think I've ever watched this movie, especially after the movie that we're going to talk about, later on. I don't think I've watched it the same every time I've viewed it. And this most recent one has actually been the most interesting time I've watched it, which is why I'm glad that we're talking about this, is because this, I think we've talked about it, 237, Room 237, the movie, documentary, is really fucking interesting.
Yeah.
And I agree with a lot of things that are said in it. However, going back and watching it after that didn't really change my mind. But watching it after this new sequel really kind of made me very, very, very curious about watching the movie again. It's almost like I watched it as a whole new film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's quite impressive that a sequel that came out damn near 40 years later can have that sort of impact. And that just is a testament to what they've done with Dr. Sleep, which I know we'll get into.
And as the music goes, the music I never really thought about until after watching actually Room 237 and then watching it again freshly. It's like the music is absolutely, I guess
part of the eeriness to it.
it is, but in a weird way, because it's kind of like, it's not like Halloween or
Doesn't hit you the way Halloween hits you.
or
Like it's
any John Carpenter film where you can actually like listen to the music and just, it's kind of like, I guess, Friday the 13th, where you wouldn't sit there and listen to that soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, the opening score is great, but only for a listen, not for a continuous
I
listen.
have those sound, like I've got 3 or 4 of those.
Three's so good.
Well,
Three's
just the
that
intro
boogie.
song.
Yeah.
But like other than that, it's like I have those on vinyl, and I've listened to them, and it's like, man, dude, I swear I'm like, this is the most boring shit ever. It's a lot of just like cues, like and stuff like that. And oh man, it's like I'm going, man, I bought these because the artwork is killer on them, but man, I don't want to listen to them.
You're right.
I like listening to the boogie theme in part 3, but that's about it.
It doesn't stand on its own. The music does not stand on its own, and I'm gonna make that argument for this one that the music has to coincide with the film.
So, let's get into a couple of things about this movie, kind of the novel versus the movie, things like that. Stephen King has stated that he really did not like this movie when it was made. However, and spoiler alert, we are going to talk about Dr. Sleep here in a second, but after he saw Dr. Sleep, the movie, it kind of became a little more into The Shining. He was like, you know what, I actually kind of like The Shining after I saw Dr. Sleep. It kind of makes a little more sense to me. So that's kind of cool. But the novel is different from the movie. We've already said that Jack's name in the novel is John, that the hotel has more supernatural factors to it that influenced John to become crazy. And in this one, you think it's just really that he's just going mad, and then it really explains it. Also in the novel, there is no maze like there is in the movie. So you see at the end of the movie where Jack freezes because he can't get to Danny, he can't kill Danny and Wendy. They get away and he freezes because it's cold outside in the maze. So that's that difference. In the movie, one of the main things that John was supposed to be taking care of was the boiler room, and he basically he was supposed to be making sure that nothing, I guess, boils over. You know, it doesn't get the temperature doesn't get too much in there, and it can blow up. He actually gets lured into the boiler room by some kind of supernatural power, whatever ghost is in the luring him in, and he gets blown up. So the Overlook Hotel actually blows up in The Shining. So that was different from the movie. So when you watch, and we'll talk about this again, when you watch Doctor Sleep, in the very end, Danny goes, or Dan is his name in the movie, he goes to the boiler room and intentionally blows up the Overlook. So what that was the director kind of giving a nod to the original novel and going back and saying, well, we'll blow it up like they did in The Shining. So that's kind of cool. So it does end differently. We just talked about, what is it, a mallet instead of an axe that John uses. Yeah. So there's differences.
A croquet mallet to
be precise. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it is a little bit different. So I think Stephen King was a little pissed off that Stanley Kubrick decided
deviated so much.
Right. But again, to have different versions is really, really cool. The movie is fucking amazing, and you wish that Stephen King would have kind of just looked at it for what it was.
Actually, I just saw an interview with Stephen King, and it might have been recent, or somewhere in recent history, and he was explaining what his qualms were with the movie, but he didn't sound like he hated it. So maybe that was, I don't know if it was posted that he hated the movie or like pressed like that he hated the movie, or if it was like an actual video interview. But this was recent.
I think it's really, it was just a matter of, I mean, look, create universes and worlds like Stephen King does, and you have all this in your head and you put it to pen to paper, you're emotionally invested in that. And I know that there's some themes that he was dealing with when writing, I don't know, was it Dr. Sleep, battling with alcoholism.
It was Dr. Sleep. It was kind of a reflection of his own life.
There's a lot of personal feelings and something like that. So it's like, you got to think, like, you guys are musicians, it's like, so you put your heart and soul into a song, right? And then another artist is like, man, I want to take this song and I would love to record it. And then they do it and they basically change a bunch of parts about that song and leave just a little fragment. You're going to feel a certain way about it, right? You're going to feel
your baby.
Yeah, you're going to feel like, what wasn't I good enough for, like, you, Mr. Kubrick, Mr. Big Time, So, I mean, I can sort of see where he's coming from. And I think that, look, I have not read the book. Yeah. I saw the TV series. It's been years. I love The Shining. I mean, I easily say it's probably one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie of all time. So, my heart lies with the Kubrick version. That's just where I go. But I'm sure there are plenty of people that were like, no, so it's taster's choice. But we were lucky enough to have, like you said, Kubrick's vision, and whether he was using, and there's all sorts of theories, he was using The Shining to tell a story of either Native American genocide or Holocaust, and he just used the story of The Shining as a shell because he could, there's a lot of parallels in this movie, whether it be a parallel universe, whether it be that the fucking movie has been, they say this in Room 237, and literally people took the movie at some film house somewhere in San Francisco, and they played it backwards and forwards at the same time, overlaid over one another, right? And there's parallels within the movie. And did Kubrick do that intentionally, or was it art just sort of like falling into place and all this sort of happened? I don't know, but yeah,
it's cool to think about.
Think about all those things.
That there's all these themes that you may not realize, like the genocide thing or the Holocaust thing, and you have no fucking idea. But when you watch it with like this theory, you're kind of like, well, maybe that was what he was thinking. So it's a very cool thing to kind of look further into a movie than just what like the facade, right? Yeah. It's not just here it is what it is. Let's go a little bit deeper and dive into it. And that's really neat.
It's definitely well documented that prior to The Shining, Kubrick sent a team of people to do research in Colorado at the Stanley Hotel. He himself did a ton of research. He went to advertising firms and he read books about subliminal messaging and advertising. He went to advertising firms and people that create these ads and be like, it talks about this in Room 237. And so I do think that his intentions were, even though this part's not well documented, to take The Shining, the story, and use it to tell a whole different story parallel to what's going on in the movie. And that's why I guess the changes needed to be made to fit the way he wanted to tell it. And I think you can live in a world where both exist and both are really good for their own
Absolutely.
reasons.
And I find it hard to believe that Stephen King hated.
Yeah.
I think he just had some problems with it, but
well,
yeah.
he was very excited about Kubrick doing it, and I find it very, very hard to believe that he hated Kubrick's version but liked Cujo, Sleepwalkers, and to think that those heal better.
Yeah.
Obviously, from the paper to film, it's gonna translate differently, no matter who does it.
Right.
And when I was listening to that interview, he kind of explained the differences of what it was and identified the contrast. Like, where he says, like, in my film, Jack burns. In Stanley's film, he froze.
Right.
And,
Right, yeah, it's
And
kind
he
of the
acknowledges
opposite.
all
It's
those.
crazy.
But he doesn't ever really trash talk it. So, I mean, obviously, if he was here to kind of give us the olive branch.
And one thing, right? One thing I do want to mention, because we're not going to go into a whole lot of trivia. There's actually a lot of trivia behind this movie.
tons.
So we every time we do a podcast, we assume that you've watched the movie first before you're listening to us talk about it. But a couple things to know is like the Stanley Hotel. That's where Stephen King went, and he stayed in room 217, and he got inspired to write The Shining. So the Stanley Hotel, a lot of people assume that that's where it was filmed. It was not filmed at the Stanley Hotel. It was
Right.
filmed at a hotel in Oregon, in room 237. They changed the number of the room because the hotel management at the time was afraid that if they filmed it in 217, like it is in the novel, that customers wouldn't want to actually stay in that room. They would avoid it. So that's kind of a cool little trivia thing there, but they shot it at a totally different hotel. A lot of the interior of the hotel was done in England, is that right?
Yeah, it was a set in England.
So, yeah, a lot of people will travel to the Stanley in Colorado because they assume that's where the movie The Shining was
that's
actually
just where the
filmed.
inspiration from the book came
Right,
from.
Stephen King did stay there in room 217, and that was that.
And I want to say the outdoor kind of Passat is actually in Montana.
Montana.
I could be wrong on that.
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana. It's funny here. It's like one thing that I was trying to pull this up a second ago, not to deviate too far from it, but I think it's a huge talking point. The fact that it was a Stephen King novel, Stephen King, hello, I mean, it's like fucking, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's some ghostwriter and that, Kubrick found some obscure novel, and I mean, we're talking Stephen King here, and we're talking Stanley Kubrick, so you got two huge names. I think that it's funny to read this, but it says that King, one of his big dislikes was because it really steered away from so much of the supernatural, right, that the book portrayed.
Yeah.
And he felt like some of the acting really wasn't how he wrote those characters. Like his criticism of Shelley Duvall was like, only thing she does is run around and scream and act stupid. That's not the woman I wrote about.
No, it was a strong woman. She was blonde-headed.
Right.
Yeah.
She
More
was,
of a trophy wife.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was attractive. She was real stern with John, like would tell him things. And this one, she's very weak, not the best looking in the world.
She's just, there's a lot of deviations there. But the one thing that stood out to me was the thing about and not feeling like the hotel's supernatural. I get a lot of sense of like there's some supernatural stuff going on in Kubrick's adaptation of The Shining. But again, not having read the novel, hearing what you've said, you can sort of see maybe that wasn't played up enough to
Right.
King's liking. But it's like I don't see much of him ever coming right out and saying that like this is an atrocity. I think he's probably like, again, you invest something and you write something that's your baby.
You want it to go the way you
Yeah,
want it to go.
sure.
You envision it. Well, it's like, Stephen King was never a director. I don't think, did he ever direct a movie?
No, but he had a lot to do with the miniseries.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a
that was
producer
kind
type
of
thing.
his, I guess, answer to Stanley Kubrick's. I think more or less maybe it was to kind of give some sort of prequel to Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. But just to kind of get away from the trivia behind it or the novelization versus the cinematic experience, all that. I think that this movie is scary. A lot of people in 1980 didn't think it was scary like some of the movies they'd seen prior. Because you got to realize, man, Halloween had come out, Texas Chainsaw, Exorcist, things like that. So this kind of deviated from what was known as horror at the time.
But the only thing that just kind of feels like it's, a horror movie is not really there towards the end, when it's like the scene where they're being chased down with an axe and, the blood coming out of the elevator, which...
Oh, I love the tidal wave of blood coming
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
or just like the super flash cut scenes to like the twin girls murdered in the hallway,
Yeah.
and shit like that. That shit's scary, and the fact that it's a little boy riding his little tricycle through the fucking hallways with the badass carpet,
Yeah.
and he sees these things, and it's scary to him. The funny thing is, you watch it in 1980, and you think that this is just a little boy talking to his finger, his little imaginary friend Tony. It's not until you watch Dr. Sleep later that you find out Tony is it's a dead spirit that is speaking to Danny and trying to guide him.
You want to know something funny about that?
What's up?
Finger thing is like the young kid that played what's his name? I think his name Danny in real life.
Yeah, his
isn't it?
name is Danny in real life.
He came up with that on his own. That was something he was doing during a rehearsal, making his finger talk. It wasn't like a direction that Kubrick gave him, and that always has been something about this little thing is just so. It was weird, kind of creepy, but that was just that little kid kind of rolling with it.
Well, that little kid did a hell of a job because that voice that he does as Tony is fucking creepy.
Yeah.
When he's
Yeah.
Red Rob.
And there's all sorts of theories, and I think that, again, going back to what you said a second ago, Mr. Evil Eddie, is that watching Doctor Sleep gives you new insight to The Shining, a whole new life and perspective completely, and one of those themes that I think that if you go back and watch is you kind of can watch it with the mindset that Danny is sort of, obviously he can shine, he has this incredible insight, but I think that the whole movie is his sort of slow build to destroy his father in a way.
Kind of. You can tell, like, that scene when he's sitting on Jack's knee, and he's like, "You'd never hurt me and Mom, would you?" And Jack's like, "Did your mom say that?" No, she didn't say it. It was kind of like Danny knew that his dad, there was something wrong with him. And again, you just said something that I think that listeners right now maybe should know. If you haven't watched Dr. Sleep, Lynn just said Danny shines. Shining, that's what it is. It's like a sixth sense type of thing where they can talk to the dead, they can do certain things. And so you have to know that Jack does not shine.
No.
The Overlook Hotel, whatever, if the Overlook Hotel as itself is an entity, or if it's spirits within the hotel, or
energy
supernatural
that it exudes, if it's
right.
I mean, it's even in the movie. Ullman at the very beginning when they're touring, it says, there's rumors it was built on an ancient burial ground, and they had to fight off the Indians while they were building it. So it's like, we think back to Poltergeist and what that fucking did to that family. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like there's certainly whatever energy, evil spirit that this is within this hotel doesn't mix. It's like oil and water with Danny's sixth shine.
Right, the Shining.
Those two do not go well hand to hand together.
But the fact that the movie is called The Shining and that Jack is the main character, you might assume that he's like The Shining has to do with him. It really has to do with Danny. The Overlook Hotel is feeding off of Jack and his weakness. All right, so his weakness is that he's an alcoholic and he has anger issues and he doesn't care about his family as much as he does writing his novel and taking care of the hotel. So it's feeding off of Jack. And that's something to know. It's something to think about.
And that's one way to look at it.
Yeah,
but there's also another way to look at it. Let's kind of get into, kind of skip everything and go kind of all the way ahead to where the movie ends, all the way to that photograph where you see him in 1921. And we were starting to talk about this earlier. We had to stop ourselves because this is something important. I think that we just mentioned that it was built on an ancient Indian burial ground and that some of the bodies had to be exhumed and whatnot. Is it possible that the Indians made a curse on that burial ground where the hotel is built, and that's where evil lives? And they talk about in 237 the Native Americans and the evil of white men, and evil just has become a white man. And Jack, he's in that 1921 photo. Why is he in that? Because he's constantly just living a different body of life.
It's like a reincarnated
version
of himself.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And he's evil. So he doesn't know it because he's a person that's tortured by the evil with the alcoholism and whatever else he experiences every time he's reincarnated.
Right. And he's a reincarnation of Delbert Grady
and that's something
or not. That's a whole nother entity because, and we'll talk about Grady in a moment, but Jack is constantly just fighting this demon. You could just tell, like when he's isolated, that's when the evil comes out. Because the evil doesn't come out when he's in the interview. It doesn't even happen when he
Right.
walks in the hotel. You don't see the evil. You see the evil when he's around his
listen,
family.
The thing is, though, dude, the scene when you first see the evil is like when Wendy and Danny are playing out in the snow, and Jack is standing there staring at them out the window,
Right.
and the light shining down on him. He's just staring there with that dead stare.
Yeah.
That's like, oh shit, man. That's probably my favorite scene of the movie. Is that
It's like
scene?
you start to see his unfold, whatever's going on, whatever's eating away at him, whether it's the energy of the hotel or his own demons that he's struggling with, and this hotel's bringing out the worst in him. You know,
But he's always been evil, possibly.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
he is.
because he talks about it. You know, it does talk about it in The Shining, where like there was some physical abuse that he laid on to Danny. You know, prior to him being in this hotel,
3
So,
years prior.
It's not like they had the perfect life. It's not like he's not without his flaws, and it's just this perfect model citizen, perfect dad come in here and it's been broken down.
In the presence of good, he blends in. Like in
of
the
course.
presence of the people who own the hotel
Right.
or operate it, Ullman, and all those people, he's a good guy, seemingly.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
Hiding in plain
the
sight.
second that it's isolated, you see the evil just released, and that's why he's there.
And I think
that's why he's
that
always
theme
there.
of isolation is very important when you talk about this film, because I think that you look at two different things here. You could say that what's more scary? The fact that Native Americans, you know, talk about it being a burial ground for Native Americans, we can assume it was a mass grave of genocide of people that once lived on this land. Or what's more scary, that thousands of people are buried into this hotel, or the fact that one guy is murdering two people in his family. And there's an interesting sort of like parallel again, where I think for us, we can't really comprehend the idea of thousands of people dead. But what really hits home is having your dad turn on you and kill you with an axe.
Exactly.
So that's far more scary. So I think that to capture the essence of evil, whether it's evil that the fact that an entire race of people were buried under a hotel, or if it's a person that's hiding in plain sight with his demons, that this hotel brings out the worst in us, like they're paralleling each other at once. And I think this movie kind of portrays the idea of evil, but it really just sort of breaks it down under the microscope to what's happening with this one individual. Because to me, that's far more scary and relatable than the idea of thousands of Indians.
Here's what's crazy to me, though. We talk about like the first time you see him kind of becoming evil or going mad is like when he's staring at them. He's been working on his novel prior to that, though. And when Wendy finds his transcript or whatever, he's been writing the same sentence thousands of times the entire time.
That's the infinity of evil.
Right.
Like
That's what I was sort of starting to touch on right there. Yes, exactly.
Just like the carpet, it's an infinity of
Yes.
this pattern.
And actually, that's funny that you say that. But anyway, I'm going to touch on this later. Again, this is like a little bit hard to even comprehend, like the entire multiverse of Stephen King. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit once we get into the Dr. Sleep talk. But one reoccurring theme that Stephen King has in all of his novels, you'll hear it, it's like fate is a wheel, all right? Another thing you'll hear later is Ka is a wheel, K-A. This is like this thing that Stephen King has. But it's like this endless cycle of like you said, the evil. It's just always going and going.
Well, if you, it's like you look at the pattern of the card. It's right up there. If you look at the pattern, it's an infinite pattern that doesn't have a beginning or an end, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's whole fucking essays written on that fucking carpet.
Yeah.
People have dissected it. So much so that it's like it's almost crazy to wrap your head around. And I guess what it boils down to is the fact that a movie that came out 40 years ago is still so complex, and you still, I can promise you could watch it and still take pieces from it and be like, that's an interesting take on it. And to me, that's what makes art a fucking, like, Boards of Canada. I love that band because if you listen to their fucking music, it is a subliminal message and layers of sounds that they've even said in interviews. That particular album, Gio Gotti, no one will ever hear every fucking little subliminal sound cue they buried in all their songs. And I fucking love that. And I feel that this movie is very much so the same way. Whatever Kubrick's intentions were, don't really care. But the fact that you can have all these different perspectives, he may not have intended any of this to be. This may just simply be like, okay, I'm kind of going to change fucking Stephen King's novel to make it this way, and here's how I'm going to do it. Yeah. But the fact that we're dissecting it could be this, and that photo, I mean, that photo is the most at the end. I've had conversations with people that are just barely horror film fans. They're like, the most crazy fucking scary thing about The Shining is at the end, that photo. What does that mean? He's 1921. Why is he there? It's like, you rack your brain trying to figure it out. That's what makes this movie so fucking good.
Isn't it cool? Like, you remember the first time you watched this movie? It's a thinker, right? You think about, like, for the next day or two or even a week or however long, you're just like, man, why was that at the very end?
Yeah, like, I feel this eerie. I have this weird, eerie feeling, and, like, it's the first few times it's like, oh, Jack Nicholson's character's fucking scary, but then it leaves you with something else. There's just, like, residual, like, you ever take a shower in soft water and you can't get all the soap off of you? Yeah. That's what this movie is. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can't get it off of me. It's like that soft water and the soap's still loud. I can't get it out of my head. I mean, I'm sitting here and I've watched Dr. Sleep and The Shining just recently, and like they're heavy in my brain, and it'll be that way for a while. It lingers with you.
Yeah, absolutely lingers. Here's something that lingers with me. I have a question for both of you guys. So you talked about that we would come back to talking about Grady, Delbert Grady, or Charles Grady, same person. So it's like in the beginning of the movie, they explain about that he was the caretaker. He went mad. He killed his family with an axe and chopped them up into little pieces. Right? That's right. A thing. That's a known thing. Well, later. When Jack is going to the bar and he sees Lloyd at the bar and there's like a ball going on, which is obviously not really going on because nobody's in the hotel. You think it's a figment of Jack's imagination. It's not. No. There's spirits there. Jack doesn't know that. You don't even know that as the viewer because you don't really know what the hell's going on until you watch Dr. Sleep, 40 years later. Mm-hmm. But he has some drinks spilled on him. Oh, brownies are done.
Just in time.
Oh, they're gonna get us so stoned, dude. And Delbert Grady accidentally spills some drinks on Jack. They go to the men's restroom, and he's trying to help him clean it up. And that's when Jack's like, "Hey, I know you. You're Grady. You're the previous caretaker. You killed your family. Your two twin daughters, the ones that Danny's been seeing, and you chopped them up into little pieces." And what's confusing to me, here's the question I have for you guys, and for you fucking listeners too. All right. Delbert Grady originally says, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not familiar with what you're saying here. And then all of a sudden, it kind of flips around. He goes, and he says to Jack, "No, Jack, you've always been the caretaker. I've been here forever. You have always been the caretaker." Then all of a sudden, it sort of flips, and then Grady kind of admits to, yeah, I did what I had to do, kind of thing with my family, and you're gonna have to do what you have to do.
Right.
So it's like, hold on. Was Grady the caretaker? Did that really happen? Or has Jack always been the caretaker in a reoccurring wheel of fate and evil, and it's a reincarnation?
Well, there's so many things that, and this is, again, I have to just separate anything that goes on the Stephen King novel when I discuss this, because I don't know, and I don't know the intention of it. But if you're just talking about The Shining, the film, Kubrick, then there are so many weird things, when you watch this movie, that lead you to believe that once you're sort of in the grasp of whatever's going on at this Overlook Hotel, time and reality are very suspended. Like, there's certain things that happen that either never should have happened or maybe never did happen, but you're totally unaware. But there's little tells and little signs to lead you to believe and think, like, I don't think that once they're in this hotel, the same sort of rules apply to what happens in everyday life, right? Just odd little things that the movie presents itself as being cues, some inconsistencies in Kubrick's filming, which is very unlikely that they weren't intentional, because he's a very intentional sort of director. He shoots things time and time again. The attention to detail, the way he frames his shots, I would argue that he's was one of the most prolific in framing a shot and knowing exactly what was in there with every bit of intention. So whenever you see a chair in the background that's there and moves away, or the typewriter change colors, like it's been brought to our attention like in the documentary Room 237, or little things like that, you start to make more sense of this reality or parallel universe that you step into. Once you're in The Shining, all bets are off. Jack, you've always been the caretaker. Mm-hmm. Grady, so it's like, then it starts to make a little bit more sense, because otherwise you're kind of, like you said, the first you left watching this movie like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's confusing, but it's a thinker, and it's cool.
Yeah.
But oddly, it's kind of like, you could kind of make sense. Of course it's obscure. Of course it's kind of abstract, but I think you could kind of make sense of it. And when you were mentioning the story of Jack meeting him, saying, "Oh, you're the killer." He says, "I don't know what you're talking about. You've always been the caretaker." And then all of a sudden he comes, kind of just admits, "Oh yeah, I did that." But it's weird because the very last part of the film, you see the photograph and it says 1921.
Yeah, July 4th.
It was the 4th of July ball, 1921.
Look how happy he looks.
Yeah.
And look how comfortable he looks. Very similar to how he enters the movie into that hotel. You see him just in the presence of other people. He's so familiar with evil that that he could just roll with the punches.
It's a cycle.
And so now it's 1980. It's his time again to kind of come, and that's the thing. The evil just exhibits another body. Or inhibits another body, rather.
It just so happens that there's a bit of foreshadowing, again with Grady, that...
You're talking to one Grady, and you're getting another.
Well, and Grady does say at one point in time, he says, your son has a very great talent.
Yeah.
He's talking about
He's
Shining.
tipping him off. And so I think that this loop, this pattern, we go back to Danny, is broken by the fact that if Jack's always a caretaker, if he's this ever-going sort of centrifugal force of evil, this pattern has now been broken because
Danny shines.
Danny's here. And it's one thing that Grady says that kind of sticks out to me. It's like, your son has an incredible talent. So he's kind of tipping him off. It's like, you're going to have to do something about that.
You're going to have to kill him.
Absolutely.
And pretty much almost immediately after that is when he's coming for him with an axe.
That's when he goes for him with an axe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's man...
And... I mean, I know this was ad-libbed. You know, the "here's Johnny" thing was ad-libbed.
Yeah.
However, is it possible that the person in 1921 was Johnny?
Could be.
John? And now Jack is, you could, that was ad-libbed. Obviously ad-libbed, but...
So, because here's what I think is
it...
the beauty of it, man. Have you ever come across this where, and I take this back to music, where you hear a song and you're like, oh my god, those fucking lyrics, and then you really start to get it. You start to think about where the artist was that wrote those lyrics, and then sometime later you find that the artist was like, that's just a stream of conscious. Those lyrics mean absolutely nothing to me, but to you, maybe it helped you through a dark time, or maybe it helped you understand the world in a different way. But for the person who wrote it, it's like those lyrics mean absolutely nothing. I think there's a lot of that going on here. I think that Stephen King wrote a book that could be interpreted a lot of different ways. I think Kubrick took that book and made his own interpretation of it. And I think, again, the beauty of it is like, you could take that and have your own meaning that may be exactly what was intended or may have absolutely nothing at all. But that mystery that it's shrouded in, the fact that he was doing a lot of research into subliminal messaging and subliminal advertising and his own takes on it, I think that it really stands a testament of time, because it's just like a song. It's like, oh, those lyrics mean so much to me. That artist must have been coming from a place, and they're like, I just fucking literally wrote things down on a piece of paper and drew them out of a hat. It means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I think it's what's fascinating, because it very well could be this thing we'll never be able to decipher, or it could be just the fact that we saw someone like a genius like Kubrick make a film. That's what he's really fucking good at, making movies. And we are overanalyzing something that's not really there, but that was the
intention. Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, man. I mean, and I think the last thing that we should kind of just briefly touch on really quick before we kind of wrap this one up and go to the next film is that again, you don't really know what's going on in this movie and whether that was Kubrick's intention or not. You don't know that Danny actually quote unquote shines, that he has this ability. You just see that he's seeing dead people, right? Or ghosts. But you also see where Jack sees the ghost. You see where Wendy sees the ghosts. The bear man and all this weird stuff that Wendy sees. So you think that it's just the hotel is haunted and they're all seeing it, but really it's only Danny that's the one who's able to communicate with them and do things like that. And the one time in the movie that you kind of get an idea of that, and maybe as a viewer in the original, when you saw it back in the 80s or whatever, or even up until seeing Dr. Sleep, is when Dick Halloran is at a total another place, and all of a sudden it's almost like he reaches out to him. It's Danny reaching out to him, and that's what Grady is telling Jack in the restroom, is that your son has reached out to somebody.
Right.
You know.
And he doesn't call him somebody.
No, he gets all racist with it.
He gets
which
very
is
racist.
kind of
Yeah.
crazy. And maybe another theme in the movie. You
Yes.
know, we're talking about
The
Holocaust.
Native
We're talking
Americans,
about
yeah.
and racism. Okay, so but he's basically like he's reached out to this person. But I'm sure as a viewer, you're like, what the fuck are they talking about? Why did Scatman Crothers, who plays Dick Halloran, he's laying in bed, all of a sudden like open his eyes big time, like somebody's talking to me, or he just like realized something. It's like a revelation of sorts. But it was Danny like talking to him
Right.
because he can shine.
Because he can shine.
So that's what The Shining is. That's what this whole thing is about. And I guess so many people probably did not realize that. And a side note, how awesome were those posters in Dick Halloran's?
Reminds me of your Gwyneth Paltrow.
I know,
painting.
dude. I'm like, damn, look at them titties. I like them titties.
Yeah, those are top notch.
And like the one that's above his TV, dude, that's like the biggest afro I've ever seen. I think it's fucking dope,
I wish I
dude.
could get an afro. I mean, I could, but it's just a lot more work than I want.
Yeah, man. I mean, they're just
It's
super cool.
that's from top to bottom. And for those of you guys, I know we're trying to kind of wrap this up because honestly, we could probably dissect and talk about The Shining, not only just thematically, but trivia, the acting, cinematography, the music. We could go on and on forever. Do yourself a favor if you haven't seen Room 237. Watch that, at least just to kind of get some insight of some people that have obsessed about this movie. I mean, for me, it's, like I said, probably one of my favorite films of all time, but I'm not even near as obsessed with it as some of these people are that have watched it, like, literally frame by frame and, like, going through. I mean, one of them even said, like, I hadn't really seen The Shining until I was able to get it on a DVD, because then I could like go frame by frame and do that kind of shit. That's
Right.
the kind of obsessive nature this film brings out, but it's just a testament to its genius. But
Well,
it's so good.
it's an
just
amazing,
so,
amazing fucking
so
film,
Well
you
done.
know?
It's Kubrick, I think, and his A game. I think acting. I mean, it's the total package. Like I said, it's that thin layer of like you got great movies and that like upper 0.5%, that upper echelon of like AAA. Do we have any dislikes? Anything about the movie that?
I have one. Do you have one, Hooligan?
Say yours first, because I didn't really think about this. I don't know. Tell me what yours is. Maybe I agree with it. I don't know.
And I'm not gonna say hate it, but when the days of the week flash up.
Oh,
That-
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. I'm like, that
That
has
doesn't
no
really have any relevance, does it?
that has no perception of time with me in this, because it doesn't say like 1 month later. It just says days of the week, and that
Yeah.
always.
And do we know,
when
is it within the same week?
Right. Normally, when they do that, it's like
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's like
And
1
that's-
week, and this shit's happening, and things are like descending fast. You
Yeah.
know, but
In
like
a-
no,
in a
that's
way,
like,
it's
in a
supposed to
way,
be there
it's-
6
it's-
months.
It's just to maybe sort of disorient you in time, just to be like, okay, it's this day, and then this could be Thursday, but a month, 2 weeks later, Thursday. Or,
well, god damn it, dude. I thought this movie was perfect until now. Thanks a lot, man.
Well, it's not that. Oh no, I'm kidding. That's not a huge deal, but it did like at first. The first time I watched it, I was like, "What does this have to do with anything?" And now I'm looking at it. I ignore that 100%.
Yeah.
And if anything, it's like kind of a distraction. I'd be like, I don't give a fuck if it's Thursday.
But yeah, that you bringing that up, it's like I could see where it's like doesn't really have any relevance, so it could be kind of like with a movie that is really there's no fat on it, there's nothing about it that's like stands out, because even like really good movies, like okay, well that's that didn't quite work. I would say most of I mean just about everything in this movie that's supposed to work top to bottom is
It's there.
it's there.
Yeah.
I mean it's
Okay.
it's on my Mount Rushmore of films.
Real quick before we wrap it up and rewind this tape to go take it back to Lloyd, because he's pretty fucking adamant that we rewind it.
Lloyd.
Yeah,
Good
old
guy.
Lloyd. He's a good guy. Favorite scene.
Favorite scene.
I said earlier that my favorite scene is when you first see Jack like staring at them out the window, all crazy looking, staring at them. I think that's my favorite shot. But my favorite scene, really, it's like I told you guys earlier when Wendy comes in and she's like, "Hey, hon, I'm gonna bring you a couple of sandwiches," and he's like, "When you hear me fucking typing," and he starts motioning. You get the fuck out of here, or whatever he says. I was like,
Golly.
damn, dude, that is some harsh shit, man. So I think that's
It
like
really is.
the one of the scene that really sticks out to me. It's like, damn,
Yeah.
dude, I can't believe you talked to her that way.
I know.
You know? So
There's
yeah.
so many. This is a weird one for me, but I just think that the opening scene where you're kind of hovering behind the car and it kind of comes in,
Oh,
think
that's so cool,
it
dude.
just sets everything up with that just ominous. Was it Dies Irae? It's an old piece of music from forever ago that was used there, and they just sort of use synthesizers to recreate it. But I mean, it sets the mood perfectly, and you get a sense that you're kind of about to take a peek into something it's not pretty. It's disturbing. Like there's nothing about uplifting. It sets the tone right from the bat. And I know it's the first scene of the movie, but there's something about that hovering just above the surface and then going into the car. Like, I love it.
It's greatness. Yeah, I do love the intro scene, man. It's great.
Yeah. I would say I don't have a favorite scene at all. This is a stalemate for me. However, I will say what I kind of go to the most, like kind of I guess if you were to dive into my brain and kind of see whenever you mention The Shining, the first thing that comes to mind would be the big wheel, first person point of views.
That's amazing.
I love those, and that's always, which is a big word in this film.
Yeah.
That's always how I've seen this film, is just that big wheel point of view, just seeing it from that point of view.
Yeah.
And that's always, I love anytime a movie can bring atmosphere into a movie so well, which Stephen King does that. But we mentioned in Halloween, you just kind of know the town, you kind of know the hotel, you kind of know Salem's Lot, you kind of know the town, and I love that about the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that.
And that's a crucial scene because it's not until he starts exploring, because there's a couple of takes of him going around the hotel, and I think it's the third time around is when he gets to 237, and it's after that the movie that evil's unlocked, right? So it's like it's almost like his intuition is telling him to get a scope of this hotel. He knows there's something there. He asked the what's his name? Halloran about room 237. Halloran's like, hey, nothing in there. So his intuition's there, but it's not until he explores it and then like unlocks this. I don't know. It's like that's a very important part of the movie and very fitting that it would stand out to you because it's sort of like it's critical to how the rest of the story plays out.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you guys know any of the relevance of 237?
On room 237, the documentary, the number 42 shows up. I think Danny's wearing a jersey that says 42. There's a lot of reference to 42 in the movie, and if you multiply 2 times 3 times 7, it equals 42. And essentially, if you go with the whole Holocaust sort of theme, 1942, I can't remember the exact significance of that year specifically, but that's the year World War II started?
Shit, I wish I knew that, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's some significance to 1942 and the number 42, and the reason that he changed it to 237 was because it's all these theories. But I don't know exactly why 237 outside of they changed it because they didn't want people to not stay in that room and this and another.
In the movie, in terms of plot, they never really give a clear cut, even in the sequel. And maybe they do in the book, maybe they do in the miniseries. I don't know, but 237 is never really clarified. But I guess people could reach out to us and kind of tell us that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, all in all, this has been an extremely fun talk. I'm glad that we decided to do this movie.
Different too. The different energy and vibe when talking about something like The Shining versus like a slasher, right? Because slasher, you've got some shit you can laugh at, but this, it's like, man, ain't nothing to really joke about here. This is fucking serious shit.
We were laughing a bunch during the Leprechaun episode.
Oh, yeah.
This is a little different, but no, I'm super glad that we decided to do this because this is an amazing movie. I know we've all loved it prior to even thinking about doing it, but the Dr. Sleep thing is really what brought it together.
Yeah, sure did.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about that one too. But let's rewind this tape and bring it back to Lloyd. Give him a little thought of it.
Creeps me out. He just appears.
He does just appear. I don't know. He does pour a hell of a drink though.
Yeah.
Stiff one. 3-finger pour.
Yeah.
Speaking of drink, I'm gonna make my way to that bar.
Oh, okay. All right, on. We'll meet you there.
Well, cool.
Actually, that about does it for this portion of the episode. We'll come back in a part 2 to finish up with Dr. Sleep. But in the meantime, you got something to say to us? Reach out to us, 66.6thehorror@gmail.com. Reach out to us with your thoughts, feelings, complaints, emotions, jokes. We'll hear it all. We'd love to hear from you, and while you're at it, follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We'll talk to you in a bit. And until then, stay scary.
Get 6. Get 6. Get 6 to 6.6. Get 6. Get 6. Get 6 to 6.6. Are you sick? You need a fix. You need 6 to 6.6. Get 6. Get 6. Get 6 to 6.6. Get 6. Get 6. Get 6 to 6.6. Get 6. Get 6. Get 6 to 6.6. Are you sick? You need a fix. You need 6 to 6.6. Get 6. Get 6. Get 6 to 6.6.
Are you out of your fucking mind?